EST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, opinions, and more. This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We are Audio here today on episode 243 of The Hodder Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I have a stellar episode for you here today, as I try to every single week here on The Hodder Show. I am getting to sit down for a chat with my man, Mr. Evangelous Aivaliotis of Judgement. He is the vocalist guitarist for Judgement, and we have a super fun chat. We go for just about an hour talking about his beginnings with music, kind of his start in music, forming his first bands and things of that nature, his favorite music, as well as the Judgment's beginnings as a pop punk band and how they made the transition, as well as just tons of just fun stuff. There's even a couple bands that he, recommends I should check out, and we kind of swap stories of music that we grew up with, and it's just really a lot of fun in that regard. We also get to hear about the recording of their brand new single Terra Firma, as well as we get to hear the new single. If you have not heard it, what are you doing? You must be living under a rock. This song came out February 28th, and let me tell you, it is a badass track. You're going to like it. And it's really interesting because us diving into how they kind of made the transition naturally from pop punk to kind of that post-hardcore world, as well as these similarities kind of in that post-hardcore punk world, and how there's so much just love and support in that scene. And I know you guys are going to really enjoy this chat. We have a lot of fun, but I definitely want to give a quick shout out to some guys who definitely deserve it. Speaking of February 28th, that was actually my anniversary with my wonderful, beautiful fiance. So I was out of town, but I did get to check out. We had a lot of music drop that day, man. Holy cow, a lot of stuff. But my dudes, Nothing Serious, dropped a badass new song called Jekyll and Hyde. And I implore you guys to go check that out. Jekyll and Hyde, my dudes, Nothing Serious. I love those guys. I've known them for a long time. We go back like freaking 8 years, something like that. Definitely, it's got to be getting close to like 6-7 years, somewhere in that ballpark. It has to be. I want to say that I've known those guys, and they kick ass. So go check it out. As well as I don't know these guys obviously, but if you haven't heard the new 5-Figure Death Punch, you got to go check that out too. So a lot of good stuff. You're going to hear Judgment's brand new single here today if you have not heard it, so you don't have to go anywhere for that, but go check out Nothing Serious' new single Jekyll and Hyde, as well as, if the mood so fancies you, check out that new 5-Figure Death Punch. Obviously, as much as I'd love to, I don't know the guys in 5-Figure Death Punch, but just really enjoying the record, so you guys should go check that out. And we're going to have a lot of fun here today. I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to jump right into my chat with Evangelous Aivaliotis of Judgement. Let's get into it. Joined on the line right now by Evangelous Aivaliotis of Judgement. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Very, very awesome. Happy to be talking to you here today. Where, man, it's cool anytime someone contacts me, especially when they have a badass song to send me that just completes my life.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you. I actually got referred by my friend Lee Ibanez. He threw your name out there, so I figured I'd contact you. And yeah, man.
Really, my man Lee. It's been a while, Lee. If you're listening, buddy, what's up? How are you doing? That man single-handedly made me understand and love pop punk. Just saying.
Yeah, man. He's a good dude, and he knows music really well.
Yeah, he is definitely one of the gems out there. Cause I wasn't sure, cause it's always fun for me and interesting to kind of, I'll like look through and be like, okay, what bands do you follow? Like how did we make this connection? And how did you discover me? And I look around and I see, obviously in the kind of that more post-hardcore metal world, there's lots of great bands in that kind of era or that kind of the scene, so to speak. So I'm always interested to be like, I see you follow Single Wound, for example, who are kind of a bit of a staple of the Hodder Show at this point.
Right.
I featured them a few times, but I'm like, maybe that's a connection but Lee, that's cool, man. That's really cool. How you know Lee? I'm just curious.
I'm pretty sure we're actually, we're playing a show with them pretty soon. I'm not really sure the date yet. It's kind of like up in the air right now, but that'll be the first time we'll actually meet them. So
that'll be one hell of a show. Do you know when that is, or you're kind of still in the early stages of planning?
It's kind of up in the air right now, but it's in Oshawa. Pretty sure it's going to be at the General. So yeah, I don't really know too much information about it. It's just kind of like a new thing that's arisen within the last couple of days. So there's talk about it, but it'll be cool to actually meet those guys because I'm a fan of their music. So
for sure, and it's that'll be one hell of a freaking bill. Just having you guys and even just you guys and Single Wound on the bill, that would be a very tasty bill. But so we'll definitely have to keep our ears to the ground for that. But just jumping into it with you here, and I know we have a lot of ground to cover, and I'm sure we're going to go off on tangents and things of that nature. But what kind of got you started on this journey into music? What was kind of some of the first music you heard, and how that whole thing started for you?
So we were originally called Poor Judgment. We were a pop punk band when we first started. Growing up, I listened to all types of music, and I still do today. But when we first started this, I think 4 years ago, it was me, Riley, my drummer, and James, the lead guitarist. We were all kind of listening to bands like The Story So Far. We were listening to Green Day, Sum 41. Just a lot of the pop punk bands that we know and love, plus a couple underground ones like the Wonder Years.
Kind of that good quintessential kind of
punk
rock, pop punk stuff.
They were more underground when we were first listening to them, but now they've kind of exploded, like Real Friends, another one. So that was kind of like the sound that we were going for back then. But then as we kind of progressed, we got our bassist Cameron now, and we all started kind of getting more into the post-hardcore scene and stuff like that. Listening to, we also grew up listening to bands like Alexa on Fire, Silverstein, bands like that. So we had that connection already, but then we were introduced to Under Oath super late, maybe only about 3 years ago, I would say. And we fell in love with Under Oath. Another band is Counterparts, Let Live. Those are all kind of bands that we definitely look up to and are huge influences on our music now. But yeah, that's kind of where it started and where it evolved to, if we're talking about influences and stuff like that.
So for you personally, what was obviously I would assume as your vocalist and guitarist, was that how it started for you? Did you just, start hearing this kind of music and go hey, I want to pick up a guitar? Or was there specific bands and players for you personally that kind of made you really want to start getting into this?
So, my dad actually bought me a guitar when I was probably 4 or 5. It was an acoustic guitar. He was actually learning as well and teaching me as he went. And so that's kind of what got me started on playing guitar. I just really had this connection with music from a very early age. I love to sing. I love to dance. Really, really all the arts. I love to dance, draw, all that stuff. But I really connected with music at a young age. Started playing a lot of talent shows and stuff like that at my elementary school. And so that's kind of where it all started. But I don't really have like an idol when it comes to guitar. But for like being a frontman, I really enjoy Jason Alon. He's the former frontman of Let Live. They're not a band anymore, but he's the current frontman of The Fever 333. If you haven't, check him out. He's one of the greatest performers I've ever seen, and I strive to be like him, except, you know, he doesn't have a guitar, so he doesn't have to keep coming back to that mic. But he's definitely one of the greatest performers I've ever seen and ever heard of. So he would definitely be one.
I'm not actually familiar with them, so I'm going to have to. I've already made a few notes for some bands I'm going to have to check out that you've mentioned because I'm not too familiar with them at all. Actually, is there an album you'd recommend to start with, or?
For Let Live, honestly, I can't remember. I know The Black is Beautiful. That's a really good album. But the one before that, it's kind of slipping my memory right now. But that album is kind of what made them to be what they were. They weren't like very huge, but they toured Europe, and I'm pretty sure they went to like Japan and stuff. They were more bigger in the States. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they disbanded, and now The Fever is his new band, and they are another influence of ours because they stand for equality, and they stand for a lot of black rights because the singer is half black, and he really stands for that. Gun violence as well. So they're like, as with our band, we stand for something. It's not just the music. We stand for other things other than music. So that's another reason why I really like him too.
Yeah, it's that connection on the sense of, you know, hey, yeah, I'm a fan of your music, and, you know, I can appreciate, like, oh, I really like this song, and here's why. But then also it's like the people behind the music and right. what they're standing for. And, you know, it is, especially in this day and age, man, like, it is so important. I don't tend to get very political on here too much, or not political, but, you know, things like that. But yeah, nowadays especially, it is so important to, you know, to have a voice and to stand for something. You know, I know me personally, I'm someone who's I try to take a stand against, you know, things that I think are wrong, that I think most people can understand when it comes to bullying. And, you know, I think that right. It's such as musicians and as, you know, people who are creative, you can't help but have that kind of outlet and take that stance and be drawn to people who have that stance as well.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that is definitely super important. So as far as, like you mentioned that your father was the one who kind of got you into playing music. Did you take any lessons other than from him, or are you kind of he learned and then he taught you and then you kind of just ran from there?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. It was, he taught me what he knew, and he kind of got out of it for a little bit, you know, just got busy with life. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of continued. And so I'm self-taught singing and guitar. I've never taken lessons. But I really take pride in them. I've obviously watched videos and stuff to help me out. It's not like I just learned the knowledge on my own. But yeah, like I've never actually sat down and taken lessons with someone who professionalizes in it.
You just kind of basically did the whole, you know, self-taught thing, which I think is, you know, when I speak, because I've spoken with so many people on the show, and I've always had the the pleasure of speaking with both sides of the coin when it comes to someone who's very trained and they're very, they look at things on a very like, okay, this note has to go here and this chord progression has to go with this chord progression and blah, 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 which I think has its place. But whenever I speak with people who are self-taught and they're not necessarily so obsessed with, not that it's a bad thing, but it's almost like a whole different style of writing when it comes to, you just kind of feel it out, I guess is what I'm saying.
It's more by feel. It's not by the book. Mm-hmm. And somebody who actually does that is the guitarist of Under Oath. We have something in common where we have no idea about theory. Like, I know very, very little about theory. And actually, I watched a documentary on them, and he was talking about how he really has no idea what he's doing. He just plays what sounds good. And the type of guitarist that he is, he's insane. He's an insane guitar player, and he makes some crazy catchy riffs. And just to know that he never took lessons, he's self-taught, and he doesn't really use theory, that actually gave me a little bit more confidence in playing guitar, because there's times where I was like, where do I go from here? Like, this is what I know, but like, maybe I should take lessons. Maybe I should further my knowledge. But there's ways of furthering your knowledge without lessons. And he himself actually said that, even being this far in his career, he prefers not to take lessons because he thinks it'll mess with his way of writing. So learning that actually really gave me more confidence in my guitar playing, and I've been going harder ever since. So
yeah, I think there was a quote I saw, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that kind of piqued my interest just on this topic, as it said, no two musicians sound the same. And I was like, okay, I can definitely agree with that to a point, but I can absolutely understand why there are people who, there are some players, because I've seen it happen before, where they take lessons and then you become the guitar player who you're learning from. Yeah. Right. And that's what, to me, I come from that world as well of self-taught and so forth, but I also used to work in a music store. So that had great teachers that were able to, not do that. They were able to kind of separate themselves from their student after a certain point, obviously, where you can kind of go, okay, here's what I think your style more is going to be, because everybody's different. You've got the bar chord bashers and the drop D chord bashers like myself, who don't really know what the hell we're doing. And then you've got, the guys who are like super trained and they know what's going on, or guys who are just super technical, and guys who are super sloppy but for some reason sound very technically proficient. Like, there's so many different types of guitarists out there, and it's really interesting to kind of hear your point of view on that, because I find that I think it's more common in the and I say this with the utmost respect to everybody in kind of that post-hardcore kind of hardcore world, punk world, where it's a lot more forgiving. If it's like, this sounds good, whereas like, oh well, this scale has to go here, and this we have to make sure this is here, and that doesn't work in this time signature. It's like, guys, let's just write the freaking song and let's make it sound good.
Yeah, exactly. No, I couldn't agree more, man. This is a very forgiving genre for that kind of stuff. It's kind of just like, if it sounds good, then I'm down to listen to it. And that's kind of what I like.
Oh, for sure. I'm the same. And it's three chords and the truth is, that's punk music. That's what it's all about. Three power chords and the truth. So it's kind of funny to how that goes. But speaking on that note though, what's interesting as far as with your guys' style, as we are, currently talking, your guys' brand new single just came out on February 28th, and I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit. The single is called Terra Firma,
Right.
Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly and I'm not butchering that.
No, that is right. That is right.
Beauty. So walk me through that a little bit. Kind of, you had mentioned that you guys had switched styles. So actually, before we jump into that, I'm curious, what kind of, was it a really conscious effort that you were like, hey guys, let's, as much as, we do love this pop punk world, let's maybe try and transition into this other style? Or was it just kind of, it happened naturally where it was like, okay, I think we're kind of heading in this direction?
Honestly, it was completely natural. I think we just, I don't want to say matured, but maybe matured as musicians. Like, as much as I still love pop punk and it's very fun and uplifting and, and then there's like those sad songs, but like those mad sad songs where you're like sitting in your living room punching the wall as you're listening to it. Right. As much as we love that still, we just got into different music. And when we were writing, we just kind of were playing that type of music. When we were playing live, I used to just kind of scream because I had a lot of energy and just to like hype the show up. But I had multiple people come up to me saying, man, you got a wicked scream. And I'm like, do I? I don't know. Like, I've never screamed before. And they're like, yeah, man, you should really like pursue that. Maybe throw some of that into your music. And I was like, got to thinking. I was like, you know what? Like, maybe I'll try it. So, as this transition happened, I started to learn how to scream, and I started screaming a little more during our songs. Certain parts, or we would add screaming parts that didn't exist onto our current songs, just for like a live performance, sort of, just to differentiate the live from the recorded stuff. And it really, like, when I first started, it really, really hurt my voice, and I couldn't talk after. And I started doing my research and found out I was not screaming right, and that I could actually risk losing my voice forever. So I actually, sat down and started to teach myself how to scream properly, watching videos and different stuff.
I got to ask. I got to interrupt you and ask for a sec.
Yeah.
In your searches, because these videos they just tickle me. I love them so much.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across the Melissa Cross videos by chance?
A what? Sorry?
The Melissa Cross. You ever come across her videos before?
I'm not sure.
Is it Melissa Cross? Basically, she's an opera singer.
Professional?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I have, man.
Her videos, because she has some techniques that, let me tell all my, heavy vocal screaming brothers and sisters out there. Go and watch her video on, I think the video is literally just entitled Big Face, Little Face, I think.
Yeah. Yes, man. I've literally done that.
And it does work. Like, she's like, basically, just because this is hilarious to me. She teaches you the technique as far as how to scrunch your face up so small and then make it super wide. So you can basically, it helps to project, to my understanding. I know nothing about screaming, but
yeah, it has to do with that and like stretching out the muscles in your face. So you can, I don't know, utilize your I don't even know, to be honest with you. It's been a while. It's been a while since I watched it, but yes, I know exactly who you're talking about, and I have done that technique. Haven't in a while, but
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're starting, then I think there was a video of, I want to say it was Rob Flynn from Machine Head, and I think Matt Heafy from Trivium was in it. And then I can't remember who, but it was them doing these techniques, and it just warms my heart, because it was just the funniest thing you'll ever witness. So good.
It is, yeah, it is so funny to see. Yeah, definitely go watch that if you haven't, because it's a funny video
for sure, especially when you're learning. But so when you kind of, as you started to get more into, okay, hey, I'm sitting down and I'm really learning how to do this properly, did you find that your voice changed at all? Because there's been some times where I've heard from guys that, you know, they choose to scream improper because it has a different tone, whereas they find that if I scream this way that they're telling me will be better for my voice in the long run, it doesn't sound the same. Did you ever find that, or is that just kind of some crazy?
There was a point. It was kind of like the middle point where there was me not knowing what the hell I was doing, screaming and hurting my voice. Then there was the transition point where I was like, I'm going to try to learn how to do it properly. When I was trying to learn how to do it properly, it was not producing the sound that I wanted. So what I kind of did was, honestly, I just kind of was messing around with my voice, and I found a way to scream which does not hurt my throat at all, and it actually has a lot to do with my throat. It's very hard to explain how I do it, but pretty much the screaming sensation, I can feel it around my back palate, my rear palate, sort of where your uvula lies, around there. And then I can adjust the pitch by how my tongue is placed in my mouth. It's very hard to explain, but it's just a way that worked for me, and that is producing the sound that I want, and that's not hurting. So that's a win. That's a win for me in my book.
That's actually badass, man. Because I've never really kind of have dove into that before here on the show, and it's something that to me is so fascinating because there are so many vocalists out there, like you were mentioning your tongue. That's something I don't really hear a lot, because the only guy I think off the top of my head that I know that he does that, because you physically see him like stick his tongue out sometimes to produce a certain note, is Chuck Billy from Testament, where he'll...
Oh, really?
And that's like a huge deep dive for some people. They're gonna be like, who the fuck are you talking about? But,
yeah,
like, right. He has such an interesting... I mean, it's the thrash style screaming, so it's a little different, but you'll watch him sometimes and he'll fill in like, yeah. It's like, Jesus. But that's just so interesting to hear. I just nerded out for a second listening to you talk about that, because it's so fascinating to me.
The singer of Rise Against, I think his name is Tim. I don't know the last name, but he actually sings like that as well. When he hits those high notes, his tongue comes out of his mouth, and what that does is it actually opens up your throat, which allows you to create more power to hit those high notes. And I do that, and honestly, my girlfriend hates the way I look when I do it. Like, it's definitely not. It's true, but it's not like a very visually pleasing way for the audience to see you sing. But technically, it works, man. I'm telling you, and I can't hit those notes without my tongue being outside of my mouth. It's just how it is.
That is freaking awesome. I love it. Oh my God.
It's just how it is, man.
I'm just picturing you like up on stage with your girl in like the front row, and her just sitting there like, oh my God.
Like, yeah,
here it comes.
Like, shying her eyes away. Just like, oh, here we go.
Here it comes. He's going to Gene Simmons it up and just throw his tongue out.
It's not exactly.
Of course. Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. For sure. It's just like the littlest bit, I'm sure. Just the littlest bit for the sake of my joke. It's like, here.
In the music video of Terra Firma, which is out now, you can see it in the video if you pay attention. Yeah, go and watch it.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, because I didn't catch it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it there.
That is fantastic, man. That's great. Well, speaking about Terra Firma, before I went off on that segue there, I was asking you a little bit about the single. So kind of, and what we're going to do today is we're going to actually play the single for the folks that have not heard it. So that's going to be badass. But it's an awesome single. A lot of kind of interesting things I want to ask about with this. So when you guys made the switch, did you already have some material written, or was Terra Firma kind of the first song you guys worked on, or kind of break that down for me?
So not really. We have another song on this record that's going to be out called Fading. That was the first song that kind of made this transition. Terra Firma came, I think it was maybe the second one. This is like in the depths of our like Under Oath, like we were all just literally had Under Oath on repeat. So there's a lot of influence from Under Oath on this one, and also Counterparts as well. This is when we kind of were first starting to listen to Counterparts. So yeah, that's kind of like, it was probably the second song, I would say, to kind of like make this transition.
Awesome. Well, so as far as the song itself, I mean, you know, to me, it's, you know, kind of that quintessential, you know, kind of post-hardcore where, you know, it's got the riffage, it's got the vocals, but then, you know, it's got the heavier vocals as well, and that scream that, you know, your clean vocals are fantastic, and your heavy vocals are fantastic as well. So I can understand why someone would say, hey, you should really try and, you know, incorporate the screams more. But what's interesting about it to me is with some post-hardcore stuff, it's like it'll be kind of mellow, and then it'll get kind of loud, and then kind of mellow again, and then, you know, we're out of here.
Right.
Whereas with Terra Firma, there's a little bit more going on there, and there's a great hook in the chorus that is very it really stands out to me. Like, I'm someone who really appreciates a good hook and something that makes me sing along and that gets stuck in my head. Was that something that you guys kind of set out to go, okay, let's, you know, write this kind of a song, or is that just something that happened naturally?
I think it's more something that happened naturally. I'm actually just starting to do that when writing a song, where I say, hey, you know what, I want people to feel this way when we play this, or, you know, I want this part to have this feel. That's just like, I guess, maturing as a musician. But when we wrote this, that was not a thought. Shouts out to Riley, because Riley's the drummer and he's also the singer as well. Something that's pretty crazy that he does is he plays and drums. Like, literally all of his limbs are moving, and he's singing as well.
That trips me out. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's the one that sings that chorus in the song. I think the only thing I sing in Terra Firma is the bridge. But everything else, like I do all the screaming and stuff, but Riley's doing a lot more of the singing in our new stuff because of the fact I'm going back and forth from singing and screaming. It's a lot harder to maintain my singing voice throughout like a half an hour to an hour show. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Well, shouts to Riley as well then, because he's got an awesome voice too, which is the singers that play drums or the drummers that sing, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
That's something that just like, I don't understand how they do it, because I can't play drums to begin with.
I know.
It
blows my mind, man. It blows my mind. And it's not like he's playing anything very easy too. He shreds and he's still singing, and it's funny to watch. It's just astounding to me.
Yeah, it's actually like that just blows my mind. Anytime I talk to people who, especially with, you know, I think when you're doing like heavier vocals, if you're screaming, I've been told by some guys that it kind of lends itself to that a little better, because you can really power into it. But when you're singing clean, like you're trying to produce a nice clean note, and
it's also pitch too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're focusing on hitting that note as you're focusing on hitting that snare and the hi-hat and the bass drum, and you know what I mean? And like keeping your head in one position, not looking at the actual drums when you're singing, because most drummers, they sing away from the kit, so the kit doesn't get picked up in the microphone, and it's just, I don't know, man, it's just crazy how he does it, but he does it, and we're all thankful for it in the band. So
yeah, that anytime they do the lean back, so to speak, and they sing into it, like that just made it even more. Because one of my favorite drummers is Morgan Rose from Seven Dust, and he does all the screaming and stuff, but he has a headset. So he can still pay attention to what he's doing. And he said before, like there is no way I'd be able to do this leaning away from the kid or anything. Because he's like, I would mess everything up.
It's tough. It's tough, man. But he does it, and he does it well. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, so I don't want to waste any more time. I want to play the new song right now here for you guys, and then we're going to take a quick break and come back with Evangelo from Judgement. So crank it up right now. This is the brand new single, just came out February 28th. This is Terra Firma.
Familiar grounds, you're losing sleep. A place to call home is all that you seek. Stranded and stuck, I'm trapped in your mind, walking your path as you try to pave mine. And with these tired eyes, I will sacrifice everything I have for what I've wanted for this moment. I won't be disheartened. I'm not your puppet on a string. Syllables are sharpened, but your words won't cut these wings. Now, leave the soil where it lies. Though it's safe and sound, I won't let this hold me back. You weigh down our bodies, we turn, looking out for us, but we would rather feel the breeze. And with these tired eyes, I will sacrifice everything I have for what I've wanted. For this moment, I will hold it, and I will never let it slip through my hands.
Yeah, you, listening to The Hod Heads Show right now. Are you in a band? Maybe you're a business owner of some kind, a performer, maybe a pro wrestler, an event promoter, an athlete, or maybe you're just an everyday person who needs some photo editing done. You need a great graphic design guy, and have I ever got the hookup for you? My man and close personal friend, Mr. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. Whether you need logos, t-shirts, stickers, tickets, business cards, banners, menu, brochures, flyers, posters, Facebook banner videos, door hangers, photo editing and restoration, print ads, lyric video editing, signs, notepads, window clings, letterhead, bookmarks, programs, magnets, greeting cards, calendars, rack cards, invitations, envelopes, pens. Jason will work with you to develop a style that is unique to you and that tells everybody just how special your business, event, or you personally are, and you will stand out from the crowd. On top of the fact that he does offer free delivery between Cobourg, Ontario and Kingston, Ontario, message him today right now for a free quote. That's right, a free quote. Tell him about your idea. You got something outside the box, he will make it happen. With great rates and service, you cannot go wrong. I've used Jason literally for everything over the past 3.5 years, and I cannot say enough good things about the man himself and his work. So contact him today on the web at jaybirddigitalarts.com or on social media under Jaybird Digital Arts. That's JAYBIRD digitalarts.com. You can also email him at jaybird.digital.arts@gmail.com. And always keep in mind that his business is successful when your business looks good. And now let's get back to the show. Oh boy. All right, we're back here with Evangelo from Judgement, and we just heard before my break there the brand new single just dropped February 28th, Terra Firma. Hell of a freaking track, man. I gotta say again, I absolutely love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We all do.
And what's cool about it is, you know, given the vibe of that track, it really makes me excited to hear more from you guys, which to me, when you drop that first single, it needs to be able to not only hook me, but then also I gotta, if it's like, oh, this is a great song, and then like, you don't really care about what else is going on. It's like, for me, I hear that and I'm like, okay, what else do you got? Like what's coming on the pipeline next? Come on, I need more. So
right, yeah.
I have to ask, kind of what's the next step for you guys? Like, do you have more songs that you've been recording? How is kind of the recording process for Terra Firma?
So right now there's no 100% plan in place on how we're going to release the rest of the songs, how we're going to release the EP. But I'm pretty confident in saying the rest of the songs will be out by the end of this year. I just don't know when and how we're going to do it. It might be, you know, within the next couple months. It might be, you know, down the line a little bit. But
hopefully 2020.
Yeah, I would say 2020 is the year where you're going to hear the rest of the music.
Awesome. That makes me very happy. But as far
I'm glad.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's like, I think literally like when you messaged me and I kind of checked you guys out, I was like, yes, I need more, you know, like post-hardcore stuff in my life. There's not enough. I need more.
Yeah, man, it's pretty hype. Having the Alexis on Fire stuff coming back and Silverstein recording, you know, dropping their record. It's the time for it to come back, man. Time for it to change.
Yeah, and then eventually, you know, new metal will make a comeback. It'll be great. You know, we'll all be rocking like jorts again. And
that's right. Korn's coming out with a new single soon.
Hell yeah! I'm going to say something like controversial here for a second on that, on a quick segue. To me, when you think of new metal, like I don't know if you're super, I assume because you mentioned Korn, you at least know a little bit of it. When you think of new metal, do you think of like kind of like the Korns and like the, you know, kind of that more style, or do you think of like Limp Bizkit?
See, like I think of new metal as almost like a metal with rapping kind of feel to it. Like, I don't know, Korn doesn't really have like a rap feel, but I don't know. I think that they're in the same category. I also think System of a Down's in that category. I could be wrong, but that's just how I look at it personally. I'm not like a huge like,
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
There's those people that get very very butthurt by people, you know, saying that My Chemical Romance isn't an emo band and all this stuff. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think it's all up to interpretation and how you view it, really.
Yeah, like, I mean, you just probably triggered like a few people listening. Like, what do you mean My Chemical Romance isn't emo? They literally invented the genre. It's like, no, they didn't.
To be honest, I don't know if they're emo, and I don't really care. I just know that they're a pretty decent band, and I listen to the music. So,
yeah, it's genre is something that's so like I don't personally like to get too caught up in it, but I kind of have to.
Yeah,
you know, I can't have someone on my show and be like, yeah, they play rock and roll, because I just don't.
Right.
I kind of take Lemmy's stance where he's just like, this is all rock and roll, baby. I'm like, I would love to just be able to say, oh yeah, you know, this new new Judgement, yeah, man, it's rock and roll, it's great, like, or it's metal, it's great, but I can't do that because it's like, you know, I'll have that one person email me, you know, who will an open letter to TJ Hodder from the Hodder Show. How dare you insinuate that Judgement is basic metal when they are in fact, it's like, come on, man, just with all due respect to my keyboard elitist warriors out there, sometimes I just want to say it's good music and it's like, it's good metal. And it's like, but it's not metal. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys, let's just.
It's in the category. It's like, there's the big like genre, and then there's the umbrella of the subgenres, right? But I think metal would be that big genre, and then like post-hardcore would just be like a subgenre to it. You know what I mean?
And then there's like, you know, technical progressive underground undercore post-hardcore, which is, you know,
exactly.
not to be confused
like
with post-underground technical death hardcore.
You're right. I'm sure that there's somebody out there saying our music is not post-hardcore. It's something like that. And to them, I applaud them and say, you know, thanks for listening that much to our music to try to find out what our genre is.
Yeah, it, you know, so put up the hell am I trying to say here? Puts up a YouTube video, you know, here is, you know, 10 reasons as to why this is not post-hardcore. And it's like, Jesus, thank you, man. Like, holy crap, you put that much work into, I'm trying to insult you. It's like, well, you put that much work into it. Like, holy crap.
That's right, man.
I appreciate
how many times did you listen to our songs to make that analogy? You know what I mean? So.
Well, and that's what I think I love so much about, and obviously a lot of the stuff I say tongue in cheek, you know, but because I've had this conversation with so many people, you know, where it's just like, A Day to Remember is not pop punk. And I'm like, but like, don't they like say they're pop punk and they describe themselves as, they're like, they have that shirt where it's like the heaviest pop punk band.
The heaviest pop punk.
Yeah. And it's like,
right.
Cause I would hear, I don't know why randomly I thought of A Day to Remember, but like, when I first heard, oh my God, I'm going to draw a blank. Their latest record. Crap. I'm going to draw a total blank. Is it Paranoia? Yeah, Paranoia, I think. The hell's, it must be Paranoia. Sorry guys, I just drew a complete blank on what my point was here. But whatever that record is with the one song that I really like, where's my man Matt? Matt, where are you? I need you. I need to know what this song is. It's going to bug the absolute shit out of me. But when they dropped that record, people were like, oh, they're not, you know, they're not like pop
Bad
punk anymore.
Vibration?
Oh my God, that's it. Dude, you have no idea. You just like saved my life right now because I'm trying to look it up on my Spotify and my internet's not working. But yeah. Bad Vibrations. Like when I heard the first 30 seconds of that track, I was like, wait, I thought that A Day to Remember was pop punk.
Right.
And then it was explained to me that, well, you know, they kind of dip back and forth and they don't really like describing themselves just as pop punk because they're kind of, sometimes they go heavier and it's like, oh, I get it. They just kind of do whatever they want. And if you don't like it, leave them alone, basically.
Honestly, it's not a bad approach, you know, like, you know, not keeping yourself in a box. and just having creative freedom to make whatever music you want. I mess with that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like anything, like when, even if you're, like you mentioned earlier, how you just like the arts, if you're,
Right.
You're drawing something that's maybe not traditionally something you would draw, or something that's your style. And you're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And
Exactly.
you want to express
That's the beauty
yourself.
of it. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of art.
It's like you can't sit here and say, "Oh, this song isn't pop punk enough. Time to get rid of it." It's like, no.
This image isn't abstract. This is blah blah blah. Like nobody does that to painting, do they? Maybe they do.
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that, in the snobby art world who are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, why is this in this abstract gallery? That's not what this is." And
Right.
I don't know. That whole world confuses me. I'm just I'm a dumb redneck from a small town. I don't understand any of that stuff. But but I mean, I even see that in my world with what I do. I always say my show is kind of I kind of just do whatever I feel like on this show at this, and I kind of always have, where it's like, hey, yes, mostly I do, interviews with musicians and content creators and people of that nature, and I do my album reviews and stuff. But then also, I'll be like, man, I feel like talking about wrestling, or hey, I feel like talking about this weird, paranormal thing, or hey, let's talk about conspiracy theories. Hey, let's talk about dating. Like, I kind of try to do a little bit of everything, because that's just, I don't like to pigeonhole myself to say I just do this, because that's boring.
Exactly. Man.
And the same thing can be said about, I'm sure if you're sitting and you're, kind of getting back to the recording process and that, like, I'm sure if you're sitting in the studio and you're recording a song and you're like, man, like there might be, I can understand why there might be like that. Ooh, is this riff maybe a little too heavy, or is this chorus going to work? And it's just like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just do what we want. That's the beauty of it.
Exactly. Love it.
So when you guys were recording Terra Firma and that, like, did you kind of come into it with the riff and everything, or did you kind of just write that whole thing together?
So how we usually write is James, the lead guitarist, will come to me and he'll say, yo, I got this riff. What do you think? So then he'll play it to me and I'll say, okay, cool. Let's kind of work on that. So we'll usually meet up, just me and him, and kind of figure out how we want the song to sound, and I'll start writing guitar parts to his. And once we have a good bass, then we'll bring it to the rest of the boys. And I don't know, I got a pretty good ear for all instruments, so like as we're writing, I can hear the whole song in my head, if you know what I'm saying. Like I can hear the drums and I can hear the bass. So pretty much if I have any ideas for drum or bass, then I'll let them know and say, I'm kind of feeling something like this at this part, like this at this part. And then we'll take that and we'll play it. And then they will make changes to it, and we all will, and eventually we just kind of have a song. And then the lyrics are the very last thing. The next thing would be the melody. So after we have all that, I'll start humming melodies into my phone for like a week, and then I'll find the best melodies, put them in place, and then write lyrics based on the melodies. And then after all that's in place, we'll come back together again and make the final finishing touches. And once we feel like we can't make the song any better than what it is, that's when we consider the song finished, until we go into the studio and start doing some pre-production with the producer, and then the song changes a little bit more, and then that's the end result.
You said something interesting there that I always it's something that always piques my interest, is how people write lyrics and melodies, because there are some people who will just sit down and they'll just kind of and I don't say this disrespectfully, they'll kind of just like throw up the lyrics and melody all at once, and they'll go, bang, here you go, copy, paste it on there. Here's our song. Here's what I'm feeling at this moment. But for some people, like you were saying, you like to kind of go through and, okay, let's, write a melody here for this. Let's get a scat track going here for this, which I personally love, like scat tracks, because I think it's just, if someone would release a record of just like scatting just over stuff, like there's versions of Metallica songs where James Hetfield's just doing the, na 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 hey hey hey. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
I love it so much. Did you learn to do that from any specific way, or did you just kind of sit there and go, I mean, it's not a hard thing to like figure out to learn how to do, but did you learn that from someone, or was it just you were sitting there one day going, why don't I just like kind of start, instead of just, hey, let's do one long kind of recording while I figure things out, like let's sit down and really break down each melody?
It was honestly just trial and error, man. Like how our first record was written, I actually wrote all those songs when I was like 16, 17 on my acoustic. And then we just made them a full band thing and started playing them. With this record, it was different. We tried different ways, and a lot of songs were scrapped because of them. But I just feel like this is the most efficient way. Sometimes, like I used to write lyrics first and then say, okay, I can kind of hear this going on behind it. But honestly, I feel like this is the most productive way, and how to not make your songs all sound the same as well. Because when you write lyrics, you tend to write in a certain pattern, a pattern that you're very used to, that's comfortable. But if you write the music first, then it kind of challenges you not to write in a certain way. You kind of have to follow the music instead of the music following the lyrics.
100% got you on that. Like, you've got to really build that foundation of, okay, what is this song going to be? Here's the foundation. Here's what the song is going to be built off of. And let's start with, this one room here. Okay, let's see what this is going to be. And okay, then now let's see what this is going to be. Okay, cool. We have a verse. Let's see what, the chorus is going to be. And it's, instead of just one big, here's the song, let's write really break
whole
it down.
Song. Yeah, exactly.
Which is cool. And I mean, to the people that can go through and, like, it's the famous thing of, oh, we wrote this song in 20 minutes. It's like, that's great. And that has its place, and I think there's a certain beauty to that in a way, where it's just like, you just kind of, like I said earlier, again, I don't say it's disrespectful, you kind of just like puke out this song and it's like, here you go, here's this song, and it's awesome. But to really sit down and break everything down and, okay, let's really put the work into a song, I think is something that is, a lot of people don't really talk about the fact that how much work can go into even just like one. There are guys I know who like obsess over one word, for God's sakes. Like, it's just like, I don't like this word. I don't like how I'm pronouncing this word. Like, I gotta figure out another way to like pronounce this word, or maybe I should change it, or it's like
change the word. Yeah. Man. No, it all comes into place. There's actually a song going to be on our new record, and it's called November. The song is about domestic violence. So we actually came up with all the music and all that stuff before we went into the studio. I had a couple melodies, but I couldn't really get anything going. So I just said, let's just take it to the studio and maybe we can figure something out. So like, as the other guys were recording, I was sitting there thinking, like, I ended up getting like a bunch of melodies. And the day that we recorded it, I had no lyrics. And by the time we recorded it, I had lyrics. I think I wrote the song in probably about half an hour, before we went into the studio, we just went for coffee, and I sat there while they drank their coffee, and I had my headphones in, and I pumped out a full song of lyrics, and I said, "What do you guys think?" And everybody said, "This is it." So it's funny how things can happen like that, where it does just fall into place and it does come naturally. And then there's sometimes where you got to grind for it. You got to work for it. I think every song has its place. There are songs where it just kind of falls together really quickly that, are really bad, and some that are really good, but I think they all have their place in the music world.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, even the, just for fun bullshit songwriting I've done personally, like I know that sometimes you just go, hey, like my buddy will come to me, hey man, I got this riff. And then 10 minutes later, I'll be like, hey, here's the song. And he's like, holy shit, like where did that come from? I'm like, I have no idea, but apparently it was inside of me and I needed to get this melody and these words out. So it's interesting to hear that you had that. But with that, is there, and obviously with the record too, guys, I will, be sure to keep you guys posted to my listeners and anyone listening right now as, we get closer to that, and you can be rest assured that I will be doing a showcase on that particular EP, because I'm really looking forward to it, especially hearing about that song, November. Is there any other particular songs that you're like, I mean, obviously you're excited for the whole EP, but is there any like one particular song that like really is special to you and you're like super excited for people to hear, or is it just kind of the overall EP you're excited about?
I mean, the overall EP, because it's just, I don't know, it's different, man. Every song has a meaning and a deep meaning, like things that people should honestly really think about and really listen to. It has a lot to do with mental illness and living your own life, creating your own path, and then touching on things like anxiety and depression and like November, domestic violence. The whole thing is just it's going to be a journey, and I really want everybody to listen to all the songs and not just the music, but read the lyrics. The lyrics will be posted everywhere, and I want this to to really open up people's eyes as to how society treats certain things and how we can all band together and change the universe and the world together. So I don't know. I think I'm just really excited for the whole thing. If I had to pick one song, I would probably say November, because to me it has the most mainstream value. Just because it has a lot more singing, a lot more cool melodies. There's a little bit of screaming in it, but I think it's like more of a song that everybody could like. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't like screaming and stuff, but I think the screams are in the right places in that one, and just like everything, I don't know, sounds really, really good to me. So
yeah,
that's definitely one song I would probably, that stands out to me, that I'm excited for people to hear.
For sure. And I mean, as much as it's kind of a cliche thing to say, maybe a little more accessible to everybody, right, with the screaming being to a minimal, which is something that, always still to this day makes me feel, I like this song, but I wish they wouldn't scream so much. And, the classic mom meme or whatever of, I like your band, but I wish you wouldn't scream so much. But you were touching on, and with what you just said, it makes me very excited for this EP. And like I said, I'll make sure to keep everyone posted as far as we get closer, and hopefully you can keep your boy in the loop here. But there's such power in music and such power in, speaking about topics that everybody can relate to or that are really real. And there's so much music out there now that, as much as I hate to say it, not really, but I don't like to talk crap about stuff, but there's so much fake music out there now that just doesn't mean anything, and it's just random garbage being thrown out there.
That's kind of why I like that's kind of why I mentioned that. The EP, it means something. Like, I'm not bashing on anybody, but I just noticed that in music now as well, where, you know, artists are writing about things that, I don't know, maybe have been talked about a lot and such, or things that just like don't really matter. They just sound good. But all this stuff to me, and I think to everybody else, will matter. So
for sure. And it's, you know, talking about things that everyone can relate to, you know, speaking about, you know, you're talking about mental health, for example, and that's something that as time goes on, you know, the stigma is being lifted more and more, you know, and people are being more comfortable to talk about things, but it's still so important, you know, for our artists and our musicians to, you know, to speak about things like this, because it still, to this day, there might be that person out there that isn't comfortable talking about it, or isn't comfortable maybe, you know, and I mean, this is just me kind of putting words in your mouth at this point, I guess, but speaking about things that, you know, they might hear a song and go, oh, like, I'm not alone in this, you know, this person may have gone through something similar, or they might relate to something that's in the song. And, you know, music is such a powerful thing where it can, you know, not only help people, but it can, I mean, I know me personally, music gives me strength. That's something that I always say, you know, no matter what I'm going through in life, there's always a song that can, you know, give me strength and give me power to, you know, help me get through what I'm going through, or put words to something maybe I don't understand what, especially when I was younger, obviously, like, you know, as a teenager, as I'm sure you can probably relate to as well. When you're younger,
100%.
Maybe there's something you're not sure, okay, I don't know what this feeling is, or I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. And then you hear a song and you're like, holy crap, that is exactly how I feel. And that can help people a whole lot.
100%. I couldn't agree more, man. Something that when I was trying to choose what I wanted to do, and when I was younger, you know, music was always what I wanted to do from kindergarten. I always said I wanted to be a rock star, but, you know, as I got older, trying to choose a career in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do until about grade 11 or 12. And that was, I wanted to be a therapist for people, to talk to people about issues and problems and fix them, which is kind of, I've been doing it my whole life with my friends and my family. I'm just kind of somebody who people like to come talk to about things, but I wanted to, you know, make it a career. Unfortunately, I didn't really have the grades for it, but I still want to pursue that passion of mine, and I'm going to do it through music. And I feel like, I honestly feel like that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on earth. That's why, you know, I was given life, is to help people, and it be through music. I just have this feeling about it.
Well, that's definitely a absolutely beautiful sentiment, man. And I mean, I can't agree more. Just from talking to you for the last hour and that, I can hear and feel the passion that you have, even just, you know, through the phone and through my headphones. You know, it's something that you can't fake that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot.
For sure. And I mean, that's a kind of a beautiful place to end off the conversation here today. But there's always a staple question that here on the Hod Heads Show that I always ask people. And some people always go, oh God, or, you know, because it's either a really fun question or a really, in a jokingly way, painful question to kind of end off on just kind of a silly, funny note here. Do you have either a favorite show that you've ever played? Because obviously, as you had said, you know, you've been in this band for a little while. You guys were, you know, different from where you are now, but do you have kind of a favorite show you've ever played, or do you have like just like the worst, funniest, bad show experience, or do you have both?
Definitely have both. I feel like it's not just me either. It's my whole band.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think we both agree, or we all agree on both of these things that I'm about to say. I can speak on behalf of them. Our favorite show is one that we played in Oshawa at the Oshawa Music Hall. It being just a hometown show is one thing, but the amount of support and people that were there was absolutely insane. The energy was so high. There had to be about 300 people there, and we hadn't played Oshawa in like almost a year at that point. So everybody was like, you know, we did a lot in a year, obviously, and I guess the hype was there. So many people showed up. We all thought that we each individually played a really, really good set, and the energy was just so high, and we were just loving every moment of it. And it kind of just felt like a glimpse into the future. Like, this is what it can be like, you know, and this is what we look forward to, shows like that. So that would be our favorite show. Our least favorite show, probably was a show in Ottawa that we played. I can't remember the venue name, but it was just a super unorganized show. The other bands were like being really weird towards us. So many errors musically, and then so many errors technically. Like, my mic stand fell over like 3 times as I was singing. I was like crouched down singing because the mic stand was broken and the one valve was loose. So every time I would fix it, it would slowly drop in the middle of a song. So as I was singing, I was like getting lower and lower, and like nobody was helping me. It was just a really bad show on all of our parts. And that was a couple years ago on our first tour. But yeah, that was probably our least favorite. But overall, I mean, since that Oshawa show, every show's been unreal. I don't know if it was just the energy from that and just seeing that's what it could be, but I don't know. We do practice a lot, and I think that we've gotten a lot better as a band. So every show now is a really good show until there's a really, really good show. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I hear you. It's like kind of as of right now, the standard has been set of like, okay, this is the best show we've ever done as far as performance and the energy and the crowd. So until you get another new standard of here's the best, you're always going to kind of compare to that, I guess, is what you're saying. Right.
And we're constantly just going to keep trying for that. And yeah, I don't know. It's really fun being in a band, man. It's really fun.
For sure, man. Well, it's been a lot of fun chatting with you, man. I've had an absolute blast, and we've covered a lot of great ground and heard a badass tune. And I think that's a real nice place to end off here. So where can the good people find yourself and Judgement if they want to check you guys out?
So you can find us at Judgement CA on all platforms. If you want to contact us or email us, you can find us at judgementcaband@gmail.com for bookings or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that is just Judgement CA.
Badass. And again, for those of you who are curious about the EP, I will keep you guys informed when it's when it's coming out. But be sure to follow the guys on Instagram and all the social medias to keep up with that. Evangelo, thank you so very much, my man. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man. It's been awesome for me too.
All right, gang. There you have it. My chat with Evangelous Aivaliotis of Judgement. Super fun chat. Really interesting. It's always fun speaking with people, and it's fun for me to sit down with someone who, I don't know. I don't know him, I don't know Evangelo at all. So it's fun to sit down and really just pick people's brains about songwriting. And in the intro, I didn't really touch on the fact that like we really dive into songwriting too. And that was a lot of fun for me because as someone who is just, I songwrite for fun and stuff like that. It's super, super interesting for me to hear other people's perspective on it, and, you know, writing music, and someone who definitely is, you know, schooled a little bit, but like self-taught schooled. So it's always interesting, and I always have a lot of fun with that. And I think that's what's so interesting about me as a, how can I put this, big quotations around this, folks, a quote-unquote interviewer, which I don't like calling myself that or anything, because I think I am a, as far as professional interviews are concerned, I think that I just have fun chats with people and get to know them, and that's what I do. But that's what I think is interesting about me speaking with musicians, is it interests me so much genuinely to hear their process and how their brains work. Whereas, you know, I'm not just asking like, oh, so what does this mean to you? And that's not me taking a shot at anybody, but just, you know, I'll see interviews with bands and stuff, and it's like, you always ask the same stuff. It's like, let's dive into the real nitty gritty stuff. You know, that's what I personally, the way that I interview people and the way I talk to people on this show is the exact same way I would talk to them as if we were sitting in a bar having a beer, or we were sitting having a coffee at Tim's or something like that. You know, that's how I speak to people on this show. It's not a put on. I don't have a bunch of questions in front of me that I, you know, okay, next question, blah, blah, blah. Like, sometimes if I feel the need, I will structure things a little bit depending on the situation. But, you know, this was one example of, like, I came into this chat not knowing a damn thing about Evangelo at all, really, except for that, okay, he's a great musician, and he's got a badass band, and he seems like a good dude. So, hey, this is going to be a lot of fun, and it was. So, thank you again, my man, for coming on the show. I very much appreciate it. You can definitely be rest assured that as he kind of and the band get closer to maybe dropping some new stuff, I'll keep you guys informed, and definitely possibly have him or someone else in the band on in the future. That's definitely a lot of fun. Have had some great interviews lately on the show, man. I mean, we always have great interviews here. I'm very blessed to have some great people in my life to come on the show and that want to be on the show. Of course, you know, last week we had my dudes in Harmonic Dissection, and I didn't really talk about the intro, but I do thank a couple people reached out to me, and they were like, dude, that was just, again, as far as a professional interview, you know, one of my buddies said, he said, dude, as far as like a professional interview, he said it was kind of the shits because you were not at all like moving the train forward. But he said, just as a fun, entertaining listen, it was hilarious with some great tidbits thrown in there of like a little info about the band and philosophical stuff and music industry and things of that nature. So it was a lot of fun. I want to give big shouts to those guys again. And man, I have got a really fun interview that's been a long time in the making coming up for you guys in a couple of weeks. Do I want to give you a hint? Nah. But let's just say the album showcase I have for you guys next week, which is what we're going to be doing. Let's just say maybe whoever that particular person is, you might also get them in an interview the following week. Who is it? I don't know. You're going to have to tune in to find out. But let's just say we're going to have a lot of fun next week doing that album showcase. I cannot wait to talk to you guys again and get the ball rolling. We're rolling here, man. With this show, the new hosting of it, it was kind of a bittersweet day. I forgot to touch on this in the intro as well, but I feel like my outro was kind of like where I can kind of just spew all the bullshit that's on my brain. You know, because at this point, only the real diehards are still listening. So, all like 3 of you. So, it's just my diehards are listening at this point. But, you know, I shut down the SoundCloud. The SoundCloud is officially shut down. And it was as of Tuesday, the 3rd of March. I got the email saying that, you know, it is officially down to a free account, which means I can have 1 episode up at a time, because SoundCloud's free thing was not made for podcasts for sure. But I'm very grateful to SoundCloud, and I give big ups to that hosting service and them as a company, because they never ever let me down, man. They never let me down. There was never an issue. There was never a time where stuff was missing or anything like that. kind of dicked me a little bit at one point with money, and considering I was paying a certain amount for a certain period of time, and then randomly it went up for no apparent reason with no warning. But beside the fact, I do thanks SoundCloud. 4 years is a long time to be on one hosting service, and it was a big decision to move along and go with something else. But I'm very happy with Anchor. And if you are listening to this right now on a app that you don't normally use, or on YouTube and you can't find it on the podcast app you normally use, please, please, please hit me up. Let me know, and I will remedy that right away. I haven't had anyone hit me up saying yet that they're missing it. So hopefully, from what I can tell on my end, everything should be running smoothly. But again, please, please, please let me know if the podcast is missing on your favorite podcast listening app, and I will remedy that right away. And I just thank you guys for your support, man, because it really means a lot to me. Jumping into this new thing, it's a scary thing, but knowing I got you guys with me, we're good. Just like I know that I have the undying support of my Hod Heads, my Patreon supporters. If you're not in the loop on this, Patreon is a fantastic website for content creators like myself, or artists or musicians or what have you, in which they can create a community of their most loyal fans where you go on and pay a certain premium every month for either exclusive content, behind the scenes stuff, bonus episodes, or pictures, or you can, sell songs or art or what have you. But it's a fantastic site, and I am on there. We have a few different tiers as far as how much to pay a month for certain levels of access. We have a $1 a month, which will get you all of the kind of little behind the scenes type picture stuff that I'll put up and let you guys know what's going on. Also, it will get you shout outs every single week here on the show, which I'm going to get to in a moment. The $5 tier a month will get you all the stuff I just mentioned, as well as access to a bonus podcast I do strictly for the Patreon. And as far as what it is, I don't even talk about it. I don't even want to say anything about it here on this show, because it is something special I do just for Patreon. But let me tell you this, it is 150% uncensored, untamed. Man, there's stuff I have talked about on that show that I will never in a billion years talk about on this show. So it's basically like an unfiltered me. It's kind of like you're sitting in a car with me and we're driving. We're taking a little drive together, and it's just me spewing and talking about random stuff. I've had some fun episodes that I've done on that, and I'm actually getting ready to drop another one very, very soon, because I drop them once a month. I've also done a studio video thing of me doing my editing. So that was a lot of fun to do. Obviously, with having to change how I do the editing of the show and that, I haven't really done another one of those yet. With the Mac dying, I kind of had to put that on the old wayside ski. But that's what you get with the $5 tier, and you will also get a discount on merch and t-shirts when they do become available. Then I also have a $10 tier, which you will get all of that I previously mentioned, and you will also get a free t-shirt, no questions asked. Regardless of the size or what have you, I'll just give you a freaking t-shirt for $10 a month, okay? Seriously, straight up. And then finally, we have the $20 tier, which I am calling an advertising tier. And what that means is if you are someone who has a business or an event or a service or a podcast or a show, or you're a band or whatever, and you want to advertise here on the show with a personalized ad read, I can make that happen for you for the very low price of $20 a month. You will get personalized ad reads, just like I do for Jay Bridges Alerts, or I can work with you on something special. $20 a month, man, not a lot of money. And if you are someone who is, you say you sell something online or whatever, if you even get one sale out of it, I mean, damn, it's, why the hell not, right? But, I'm very passionate about what if anything, I promote on my show. I plug Jason because he is the man, but I do things very personalized. I don't like to just shill stuff and not stand behind it. So I will always stand behind your product. And if you hit me up and I think it's not a good fit for whatever reason, I'll tell you straight away. I'll say, hey, I don't think my listener base would buy this. So I don't know if this is worth it for you, but regardless, if we do go for it and you do join the $20 a month tier and we have the ad read, if after a month you go, you know what, I don't really know if this is for me, all good. Definitely no hard feelings at all. As a sign of good faith and a thank you, I will do that ad read for an extra month, even if you pull your payment for that month. I'll give you an extra month, no charge, just as a thank you, because anyone who supports this show and becomes a sponsor, I always try and go out of my way. I have in the past, whenever people have come on as sponsor, even if they do pull any point or we end our, mutually end our sponsorship, I will always still say good things about you and support you. And, I may even give you a free plug ski once in a while if I really truly believe in you. But Patreon, definitely something to think about if you want to really help this show go to the next level. We're at a point right now where unfortunately finances, so to speak, that's kind of unfortunately right now what's holding the show back a little bit. But, I'm working on it. We're working on it. Nothing's going to slow this train down. And some people who are really helping with that big time are my current Hod Heads. We got my man, Scotty D. I've known Scott for a very long time. And, that's my boy. I love that guy. We've had the pleasure of having some jam sessions and all that kind of stuff. And he's just been a good friend of mine for a long time. So, Scott, thank you very much, my man, for all your support. You know how much I appreciate you. I would love to get you on the podcast sometime, because I know we would have fun and have some funny stories. But he also is the proprietor, if you're in the Durham region, Ontario area, or the Durham region in Ontario, not all of Ontario, but for Durham region, Clarington area, if you need some windows cleaned, winter is coming to an end, maybe your windows aren't looking so hot, hit up my boy at Suds Window Cleaning. Scott is the sole proprietor of that service, and he does a fantastic job. And let me tell you, as someone who cleans for a living, I will vouch for the fact that he does just a fantastic job. Suds Window Cleaning, check him out. Definitely the best out there. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to my boy, Will of Rolls Royce. If you're not familiar with Rolls Royce, they are one of the premier punk bands in all of the world, not just freaking Canada. I always say Canada. I'm like, no. In all of the world. I don't even care, man. Rolls Royce are badass. If you're a regular listener to the show and you've been listening for a long time, you've heard me talk about them before. I did one of my favorite EP reviews that I've done in all the history of the show was And So On, which was their latest EP. Just super, super fun listen. I had Will on the show as well for a 2-part video interview, actually. One of the only ones I ever did. And it was just a lot of fun, man. Will, thank you so much for all your support, brother. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening. Even if you aren't Patreon supporters, it means the world to me just for you guys to click that play button. That is definitely a fantastic way to help support the show. And it means the world to me. So thank you very much. Audio fist bump. And if you are currently listening on a podcasting app right now and you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Consider going and giving a follow or a like to The Hodder Show, either on the Facebook or Instagram. Really does mean the world to me to have all you guys support. Anything you ever want to talk to me about, hit me up, thehoddershow@gmail.com. I've been rambling on for a long time now, so I'm going to sign off. If you're still listening, thank you so much. Seriously, you are the best. Give yourself a well-deserved pat on the back. I love you, and I'll catch you next time on The Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys.